What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been kind of a while since I made a car video, so I thought that we could do that today. And there's been some kind of interesting news in the car world and now the technology world as well. We have something very, very interesting coming up in the market and kind of an interesting shift that we'll talk about. But the reason why you clicked on this video, Sony, the company that makes the PlayStation and sound equipment and stuff like that, the technology company, made a car. So just recently at the Consumer Electronics 2020 event, Sony, the company, released a prototype for a car. They call this the Vision S. Now what this is a prototype for an all-electric vehicle that Sony's gonna be pushing out sometime in the next couple of years, possibly. And I did some research on this, and here is what I found. Sony wanted to make an appearance into the car market, and more so putting all of their technology into this vehicle and try to, I guess, transform transportation, as they say it. So starting off with some of my first initial impressions of the vehicle, I didn't have the privilege of actually going to see the vehicle, but from what I can tell on the Sony website, I would encourage you after the video to go check that out. The website's very, very extensive on what they want to do with the vehicle and their ideas of what is going to come out, some of the specs, and also some very cool advertisements for the vehicle if you do want to check those out on the Sony website. And so from what I can tell about this vehicle so far is that it looks pretty good. The styling looks very nice. The interior features look very, very well. And so Sony was able to put all of their technology and all of their like luxurious sound equipment and things like that all inside of the vehicle. This vehicle is all about having a internal driving experience opposed to just some of like the performance side of things. None of the performance specs or anything have been released yet, so I don't know anything about like the 0 to 60 time or how much power it's going to be putting down yet. But there are a lot of cool features that Sony has talked about. One of those is going to be the way that the internal cabin operates. Now, this is going to be equipped with all kinds of monitors and sensors to not just monitor the road, but also the driver. If the driver is feeling uncomfortable or nervous or maybe angry, it will measure that based on your expressions on your face and some other things that the vehicle can measure the driver for. And it'll even adjust things like if you're angry or something, it'll lower the temperature of the cabin to all raise things up and down in order to make it the most comfortable and luxurious driving experience ever. So for my first impressions of this vehicle, I'm pretty impressed that Sony's going to be rolling out their first ever electric vehicle, and seems to be looking pretty well so far. Another cool feature that they have is the camera setup. So what I mean by that is the mirrors, both of your side mirrors as well as your rear view mirror. Those are all just cameras, and those can be seen inside of the vehicle, just on your dash. You can have your right mirror, your left mirror, and then you can also see your rear view. Everything is based off of cameras. There's no actual mirrors. So that I think is pretty cool. So Sony didn't get too much into detail on this portion, but there is going to be self-driving functions. I don't know if it's going to end up being fully self-driving and fully automatically self-driving, but Sony did mention that they want their car to have as much connectability to the internet and web and servers so that Sony can just release updates, and like Tesla does, or like I'm sure any other electric car company does, where new features just roll out and come out and your car just automatically updates like your phone does. So like I said, this vehicle is focused on the interior experience. Sony mentioned that one day they hope to make a vehicle that nobody has to drive at all. So they mentioned that your vehicle, the interior of your vehicle, is going to start to act as like your living room would, kind of a place to hang out, converse with friends, and maybe conduct business or whatever you need to do inside your vehicle while you get taken to one place or another, making the transition from driving your own vehicle to something like sitting on a first-class flight. So in order to make this the most comfortable experience as possible, they have a beautiful front dash set up for any of your needs. And I really like the way that they set up this front dash. It goes all the way across with a beautiful screen, and also has facial recognition for both like the driver as well as the passenger when you get in. It shows a little preview of that in the Sony advertisement. I would encourage you to check that out. And with being Sony, a company that has all this great technology behind it outside of the automotive world, they're able to bring a lot of that into their vehicle, especially in things like their sound system. Their sound system is just immaculate inside this vehicle. Now, I haven't gotten the privilege to hear it myself yet, but from what I can see from diagrams and explanations of what it's going to be, it seems pretty cool. You know, speakers all the way in from like the headrest to all around you. Each person is catered to sound-wise, and that I think is very nice. It also looks like they paid attention to detail in some of the styling on the interior as well. I've heard people say things that electric vehicles such as Tesla are kind of just plain on the inside. And Sony seems to spice it up a little bit more, and I can really appreciate that. So overall, I would say that I'm actually very impressed with this vehicle, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the future and when it's going to be hitting the road. And that brings up something very, very interesting about the car world itself. Companies like Ford and GM are not worried about what Toyota's doing or what Nissan is doing. They're worried about what these companies like Tesla and Sony and Apple are doing. It seems like the people who are creating technology are moving into the transportation world, which is something completely different than we've seen before. And it seems like those are the people that these major car companies are worried about. So I'm very, very interested to see how it's going to play out. I really hope Sony can roll out this vehicle to all of what is expected, and hopefully they can come up with a great car. That's really going to be all for this video, guys. I don't have too much information on this Sony car just because it's so new and there's not like a whole lot of production information available out there yet. But I really appreciate you checking out the video. Please browse the channel. I've got a lot of great content out there for all of you. Please hit that subscribe button so that I can make some even better content for you. I want to bring some new cars to the channel, and I want to actually have a new car that I buy for the channel, but a little bit about that later, coming up in a couple of videos. But please hit like, comment, and subscribe. I will be sure to respond to all your comments. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you in the next one.